Hello students. Today we are going to learn organization of data, that is chapter 3 of statistics. First, let's understand what is organization of data. As we had learned in the last two chapters that we learned about the introduction as to why statistics is important for economics, and also we had studied the collection of data, that is how you can collect the data. Now in this chapter we would be learning that what is the process or step after you have collected all the data or all the information, and the next step is organization of data. Now, when we talk about organization of data, it refers to the arrangement of figures in such a form that comparison of the mass of similar data can be facilitated. Like, let's say, for example, you're going to classify the data. If I have collected the information or a data of 100 people, answers or responses are not going to be the same. So what am I going to do? I'm going to organize this data on the basis of similarity. That is classification of data. So the process of grouping the data according to their characteristics is known as classification of data. And what is the purpose or objective of this classification? It is very important to classify the data because that would help us to simplify the complex data. Now, if, for example, if I have collected 100 responses from the people with regard to their favorite food, I would have n number of answers. And if I had given 4 options, different people would have responded differently. So what am I going to do? In order to have a simple and very simple procedure to know as to which product is consumed more by the people, I will classify them. I will divide them. So it will help me to understand the data and compare. Like, let's say, for example, if we had 4 things in the option as to which is your favorite food: sandwich, burger, pizza, or dosa. Now, this all the people would be responding differently. But when I segregate them, when I classify all the 100 responses on the basis of similarity or common likings, then it will give me simple data, easy to understand and easy to compare as to which food is liked or consumed most by the people. So even to analyze the data or interpretation of that data would be very easy if I classify them. So the another objective is to arrange and put the data according to their common characteristic, which I have just explained you. Now let's study what are the types of classifications. We have geographical classification, chronological, qualitative, quantitative, and alphabetical. Now, what is geographical or spatial classification? When the data classified according to geographical location or region, like let's say states, cities, region, zones, area, then it is called geographical classification. For example, the production of food grains in India may be presented state-wise. And then now this is geographical classification, that every state will have different production of food grain. So easily I can make out as to which state is leading and which state is backward. Here is the example. Now this is according to geographical classification. From this we can easily make out the name of the states like Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Karnataka, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, and the total food grain. So from this table, we can make out as to which state is leading and which state is backward in the production of food grains. Next one is chronological classification. Now, when data are observed over a period of time, the type of classification is known as chronological. Like, let's say we are classifying them on the basis of time of occurrence. Like, let's say national income figures or annual output. So wheat monthly expenditure of the house. These are some of the example of chronological classification. Here do we have, like we have year wise, we have taken year wise from 1941 to 1981. So here I have classified the data chronologically. So easily I can compare that what was the population at the time of, let's say, 1941, 1981, or what is the population at currently in 2020. So this way, chronologically, if I segregate the data or classify the data, it would be easy for me to analyze, interpret, and compare it with the rest of the years. Next one is alphabetical classification. Now, when the data are arranged according to alphabetical order, then it is called alphabetical classification. Like, let's say, state-wise density population in India. Here is the classification where we have, the density of population in alphabetical order of the states, different states. Next one is qualitative classification. Now, we may first divide the population into male and female on the basis of different attributes like gender or literate or illiterate, and we can further classify. Let's say next one is quantitative classification. Quantitative classification is referred to classification of data according to some characteristics that can be measured. Like in quantitative, we are mentioning and classifying the data on the basis of height, weight, income, sales, profit, or production. Like, let's say, for example, student of a college may be classified according to weight as follows. We have again weight, we have given different frequency, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, and the number of the students who are falling under the weight of 40 to 50 or 50 to 60 or 80 to 90. So this way we can classify the data in quantitative terms. Now, as we know that what are different types of classification of data, now let's understand that what are the characteristics of a good classification. A good classification of data is comprehensive, it is very clear, there is homogeneity so that it's easy to interpret and analyze and compare it, suitability and stability. And lastly, it is elastic in nature, which means that whenever required, then the data can be changed according to the need. Now let's understand the concept of variable. A characteristic or phenomena which is capable of being measured and changes its value over a time, it's called variable. In short, anything which keeps on changing or which changes is known as variable. Now we have two types, discrete variable and continuous variable. Discrete variables are those variables that increase in jumps or in complete numbers. So no fraction is possible. Like, let's say, for example, number of students in a class or number of cars in a showroom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 15. So this way, these are the variables that increases in jumps. There is no surety, or the jumps are not equal. Next one is continuous variable. Variable that assume a range of values or increases not in jumps but continuously. See, in the earlier one, the jumps were different. It was not continuous, like it can go from say 1, 3, 10, 11 or 15. Whereas in continuous variable, increase not in jumps but continuously. For example, height of the boys 5.1, 5.3 and so on. So marks in any range from say 0 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. Now let's understand what is statistical series. It means a systematic arrangement of statistical data. These are the basic concept which everyone should know. And raw data is the one which is collected in original or crude form. Like let's say, for example, when I'm collecting the information, I have been asked to collect the information from 500 people. And if I have collected all the data, that is in the raw form. After that, I'm going to convert that raw data into the tabular form or pie chart or graphical representation, and then analyze and interpret that data and come to the conclusion. So the data collected in original or crude form is known as raw data, and series means arranging of raw data in different classes according to the given order. That is arranging the data in series or in sequence. Now, how are we going to convert the raw data into series? So, conversion of raw data into series, it has individual series and frequency series. Individual series means the arrangement of raw data individually without any frequency. Like this is the example for that. Individual series can be expressed in two ways according to serial number. That is, let's say roll number 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and the marks which are obtained by each individual or each roll number. So according to serial number, and next one you can arrange it according to either ascending order or descending order. In ascending order, obviously smallest number is placed first, and in descending order, the highest number is placed first. Now, second way is frequency series. Again, frequency series are of two types: discrete series or frequency array, that is tally bar, no class intervals over here. And the second one is frequency distribution with class interval. So let's first understand frequency distribution. Frequency distribution refers to a table in which observed values of a variable are classified according to their numerical magnitude. So in discrete series under frequency distribution, discrete series is called so when there is a variable. So a variable is called discrete if the variable can take only some particular value, and a variable is called continuous if it can take any value in the given range. Now, whenever we are going to construct the continuous series, we have to take care of class, class limit, class interval, range, midpoint, and frequency. Class means each given internal is called a class. Like let's say, for example, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 50, 10 to 15. And class limit means there are two limits, upper limit and lower limit. And class interval means the difference between the two. Like if it's 5 to 10, the difference between the two is 5. So 5 is the class interval. And range is the difference between the upper and the lower limit. And mid value is the midpoint. That is upper limit minus lower limit. If it's 5 to 10, 10 minus 5 upon 2. So that would give you your midpoint or a mid value. And the number of items or observation falling within particular class is called frequency. Like over here, we can see the series. We have 0 to 10, 10 to 20. So upper and lower limit, and number of students. Over here, frequency is 4. Because number of students are 4. So the frequency is 4. So those are the observations. Now, if you observe over here, these are the exclusive series, which means excluding the upper limit of these classes, all the items of the classes are included in the class itself. For example, 0 to 10, we have 2, 10 to 20, we have 5. And in inclusive, we are not going to take 0 to 10 or 10 to 20. Over here, it's 0 to 9. Then after 9, we are moving on to 10 to 19, then 20 to 29. So in inclusive series, upper class limit of the classes are included in the respective classes. Now, what is open-ended class? In open-end class, the lower limit of the first class and upper limit of the last class are not given, which means below 20. So the lower limit of the first class and the upper limit of the last class is not mentioned over here. So below 20, then we have 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and at last we have 50 and above. So lower limit and the upper limit of the class is not given. This is called open-ended class. The third one is cumulative frequency series. Now, this is obtained by successively adding the frequency of the value of the class according to certain law. Like, let's say, for example, less than or more than. Less than 10, more than 20, more than 30, or less than 20, less than 50. So this way, we are going to segregate them. So more than cumulative frequency is obtained by finding the cumulative total of frequency and then starting from the highest value of the variable to the lowest value. Here, this is the example. Marks, then number of students. So we have 6, sorry. So we have 6 frequency. And if you observe less than frequency or more than frequency, we can see in less than frequency, everything is mentioned less than 10, less than 20. And in more than frequency, we have same way marks which are, or number of students which are falling under the category of more than 10 or more than 40 or more than 50. Thank you very much.